Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Co-Creating with AI. I'm Martin Kjellström, and with me is Rasmus Wahlberg. How are you today, Rasmus?
I'm pretty good. A little tired. I found a new Netflix show that I've been watching before going to bed, which is always stupid.
Really? What's the show?
I can't say it's silly.
Okay,
It's
okay,
silly.
I see.
So I could actually call
We're
the
just
last.
gonna
Uh,
assume the worst then.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah, that's even worse. So now it's called
yeah.
like the last Airbender. It's kind of like I'm not even sure what age group it's
Okay.
probably like, but it's
Yeah.
I think fantasy kind of storytelling based
And
on
it's the
Japanese manga or
live
something.
live action version of the
Yeah.
animated series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's
Cool.
pretty cute, very easily watchable. How are you?
I'm good. I'm annoyed at my GPU hosting provider. My main development server has been down 20 hours now, and their online status page is not even showing a blip. It's all green lights, and they're still sending me like support escalations and so on. It will be down for a few hours more, I think, and that's annoying. But then it's perfect time to record the pod.
Yeah, exactly. No, nothing else to do. But
Yeah,
that is annoying though when the status page says all fine,
yeah,
and then I wonder how many honest status pages are actually out there.
yeah.
Right.
No, it's. I feel it's a bit dishonest actually. Yeah, but I'm not as annoyed as to name them,
Yeah.
though. I mean, yeah, I think they're probably doing their best. Yeah. So, what should we talk about today?
I mean, just the only thing that came up for me today sort of lift the gaze on kind of what's happening in AI more broadly, and
Hmm?
specifically I mean, just how things are moving and where they're likely to be. And one thing that I'm really curious about that I haven't thought at all, like about until listening to like a talk by Sam Altman at Stanford last night, is okay if we look at it this way he says, which is they're
Mm.
the like the best AI models now are maybe like grad school level intelligence or like competence at best. What happens when you take that to PhD level
Yeah.
across a number of, I mean, basically all disciplines, right? All knowledge
Mm.
based disciplines. And I really haven't thought about that. So I'm quite curious to just bounce that with you and see what comes up, but also maybe lift the gaze on, you had some, what do you call it? Observations that you made from like comments from some high profile people as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just associated with Jason Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, who said that pretty soon we're going to see from both software and hardware improvements a million times faster inference and training, and which will allow us to just run both of those at the same time. So we get constantly learning models, and they, of course, that's probably his pitch for how NVIDIA is going to bring us closer to AGI.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It goes a little bit. I mean, I didn't listen to that, but it goes a little bit against what the founder of Grok with a Q has been talking about, which is basically an inference focused only hardware, like extremely simple kind of inference for focused
Mm.
chips, I guess you would call them, or units. And then they provide it via hosting provider, and they are like you're able to run most open source models there like 10 times faster. It's
Mm.
like a page just comes like that, and there, which unlocks a bunch of interesting use cases. But his point of view is that inference and like that basically the GPU stack at NVIDIA will never be the fastest at inference, at least not from a cost perspective. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, if you're retraining, I mean, is that going to be separate or not? But
Mm.
what seems definitely true is inference is going to be faster. And I don't know, do we have proof that training is faster? It almost seems like training, like it's more compute and more time, or no? Do you have any like heard anything about that? Is because what he said
Um,
basically that training would also get quicker
yeah,
if that's going to be true.
yeah, but that's also because of software improvements, and there's already um, major improvements just on plain software side on doing both inference and training. Grok is the fastest on like per or tokens per second, but actually Fireworks.ai is fastest on time to first token, which
Mm.
like when I build real time applications, that matters a lot. Like how fast can we get to the first byte or first token of text, and so what I what I do is that I use fireworks to classify when a human user says something. I ask the AI first to classify it, and I ask it to put that classification as an abbreviation into the first token. So
Mm.
then I can get to a classification in just like 200 milliseconds or very very fast. And I don't and then um, since um, I can use a streaming inference, I can my system can react to that first token while the model keeps generating a response as well. But the
Mm.
system can still like know, will the response be something that we should convert to audio, or is it more something to use for later. And um, but but overall, I think maybe that Jason Huang is saying these things exactly because right now Grok is beating Nvidia in the
Yeah.
speed game, and he
Yeah.
just needs to keep his shareholders happy in some way. So he's throwing around these figures of a million times faster and so on, just to make like the Nvidia being second place at the moment less of an issue in the stock market.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. I mean, it's just interesting to see. I mean, I think the reason why I'm like actually want to lift the gaze like this, why it's actually useful
Mm,
for me and maybe for the listeners as well, and hopefully for you, is that I really feel, we said this before, but I really feel that because the pace is so quick
yeah,
and like there's such a high risk of building shit that is gonna be, as Sam Altman says, steamrolled, like when
yeah.
they're gonna just like run over you because they just built that right into the model. And also because you sort of keep like improving on things or like building scaffolding that will be like useless when the model gets smarter or when it gets memory or when it gets faster or when it gets
Mm,
cheaper. Um, so I think it's that's why I'm like curious to lift the gaze. I mean, it seems like speed cost, that's pretty obvious, both in
mm,
speed to first token and tokens per second. That's pretty proven, right? Cost going down and speed going up in all ways. Same thing with like this image generation model from Meta that is actually regenerating the image as you type words. I haven't tried it
yeah.
myself yet. I just like heard about it and saw it.
Mm,
So that seems like that's going to be instant, and then you're moving towards all sorts of use cases, right? With like real time kind of generated video in the end, right? Um, but in terms of intelligence, what do you think? Like if we compare to the way like you're able to use a like this new wave of AI, let's
yeah.
say like LLMs, etc. Um, with the kind of intelligence they have now. And then if you
Mm.
just up that level, what do you think happened? Like, what's the main difference in terms of like the product that's possible, the interfaces that's suitable, or like how does that change things?
One way to think about it for me at least, is to think about how it broadens like the competence of the AI. It's not only, I mean, like a higher or deeper intelligence, but it means that you can use the same engine for a lot broader set of tasks, which also um, probably removes a lot of requirements on prompt engineering and developing specific applications. So so I think it in a broad sense it narrows the or reduces the amount of software that needs to surround the AI. You can have much more with a super intelligent model, or just a like a um, smarter model that we have now. We can use it with more bare bones. Just have it do things and produce consistent, robust um, outputs without as much hand holding.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Altman has also alluded to that, to say that because he's been accused of being not as transparent as possible and doing a lot of startups a disservice by that. And they, when they had a discussion about that with, maybe it was with Lex Friedman, he said something along the lines of, if your startup is building something where your service gets better as GPTs gets better, then that's a good thing for you. But if your startup is about solving a problem with the current generations of GPTs, then you're going to have a bad time, because those problems are going to be solved for you, and your service is going to be irrelevant in the near future.
Yeah, so there was the 20 VC talk actually. There was, I don't remember who was the 20 VC talk was him and the COO
Yeah.
of OpenAI talking about it, and I maybe said this multiple times.
Mm,
But yeah, he's like the way they judge like investing in startups is, are they excited to get to try the next version of get to GPT-5, right?
mm,
Or are people like scared of it? And I
yeah.
think that makes sense, like from just like that lens. Um, but I just wonder, like, so if I take what you said and just run with it,
Mm,
um, so definitely like higher level of competence means more autonomy, which we talked about before
mm, mm,
a lot in the early kind of stages of the podcast. And I want to, so that sort of means I don't have to be a step by step, right? Same thing if I work with a highly competent person, I can ask them like, could you look at this?
mm,
And they could, it could be something like that. I think there's something here for us to look at, and they could go in and like from the company angle, from a specific point of view, from a research point of view, go and figure out, like, just to go exploring from there, right, and
mm,
autonomously get to value, or even get like a very high level goal and then figure out how to do it, right, and
mm,
accomplish it. And that, of course, like in one way, every product that relies on prompt engineering, in one sense, right?
mm,
That's or at least that is where that is the core value. Um, Potentially less and less, or likely less and less prompt engineering will be needed over time,
mm,
right?
mm,
That sort of makes sense if you just assume that you don't need to instruct every step of the way. So that means like workflow builders, etc. That um, you may not have to be that specific when trying to get the AI to do things for you. Um, or maybe that just means that the AI uses that workflow builder and starts, building
mm,
workflows and using them. It's hard to say, but
yeah.
that's definitely one angle, right? Just like how does your, I think that's one thing I'm going to bring with me, like with more autonomy, like where AI models are more competent and more autonomous. How does that change kind of the value proposition,
Mm,
and the need for, what does the product need then?
mm.
That's definitely one thing, like just getting into.
And right now we are, one of the major use cases of LLMs is writing code, and we have GitHub Copilot, and we have lots of code copilots. I'm a heavy user of Cursor, the AI driven VS Code fork, and and all of that code that we write is still writing very classic software. And even when using LLMs, we write classic software as wrappers around the LLMs. And I think that when LLMs get smarter, those wrappers will get probably thinner and thinner, where less and less software has to be written, because more and more can just be handled by the LLM itself. And maybe even like a big portion of the agent frameworks that are on the hype right now will be made obsolete if the model is just smarter, and you don't need to have this structure of seven agents talking to each other in order to accomplish like a slightly better result on the eval. You can just throw the LLM on the problem, and it will be better than those previous generation LLMs. Or the agent framework will be more robust, and like maybe seven GPT-5s in working as a team will still be better than just one. and
Yeah.
so there are a lot of unknowns. But I think that maybe less code need to be written when in the future when a smarter LLM is in the loop of the software, and maybe like even like memory, like RAG and memory retrieval and so on will be more robust, and so just less engineering. And what it means that like AI engineers need to get back to be actually task driven again, instead of just exploring technology for the sake of technology, to figure out what we actually want to accomplish in the world. Like, I mean, we don't need another chat interface on the AI. We want to do something nice with the AI, solve the climate crisis or the energy crisis, or like or address real world problems, and using the smart models.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I think just like what comes up for me is code interpreter or advanced data analysis by OpenAI, right? And I haven't used it enough, but from my understanding, like you may like if I just look pre that, assuming it's competent enough, then of course, because which is what we're
Mm,
assuming the arc, right? I would write code, Python code, to analyze my data,
mm,
right? And then I would save that code in case I want to reuse it. And then I would do that for 100 different things, and that would turn into like a data analysis app or
mm,
something for my company or in general that I sell. Whereas now, assuming that the model can actually uh, write those on the fly,
yeah.
then I may not need to have them saved as code because it
Mm,
just writes them and runs them. Which means that, I mean, there's still a question about interface, but assuming that I'm okay with chat as an interface, then I might as well just drop the file there, or I have my files integrated from wherever,
mm,
or my data sets, and I just say this stuff, and then I say what I want in words instead of having a button specifically for that or a bunch of settings or things. And then I don't need, and I could say 100 different things there or 1,000,
mm,
and I don't need to build that software because the AI can just do it. So that's the way I like. And of course, if you extrapolate that, which maybe is like an extrapolation for a long time, right? But you could see, you know, you could see a lot of software being like that.
yeah.
That it's custom written on demand.
Mm. And I was gonna say, and only the integration engine is what is needed, but you can just give GPT-5 your database password, and it will figure out the integration on its own as well. You don't need
Yeah,
a fancy integration layer, maybe.
yeah,
But at some point, you also want to apply the guardrails and the sandboxes and so on, so that because if you give the LLM too much access to systems, then someone can abuse the LLM, like jailbreak it with a really smart prompt, and make it do things that it shouldn't. And
yeah. But if you take the route where you have your own AI, which is on your phone encrypted that you trust, just the
mm,
same as you're happy to send personal private things to your family on iMessage, right?
mm,
Then like just assume that you have that, and then that has access to your data, and that has access to like all the APIs of the internet, in one sense, right? Then you wouldn't, like in theory, you wouldn't need like a Google Flights web page and an Uber app. You would just need all that raw data available to the AI, and then and you say, hey, I want to go there. How can I get there? I want to, And then it just says, oh, you take this cab and and then this flight. Do you want me to book it
mm,
for you? Okay, yeah, sure. Do you
mm,
want like what food do you want on the plane? Okay, and then
mm,
you're like, right. And in theory, and then I'm not saying chat is a good interface for that, but like you just think about your phone as the AI, and then just pops up whatever screen you need to show that. Oh, here's the route. It's a map.
yeah.
And it's interactive, right? And I'm not sure how that's going to work fit together, but I can really see the disintermediation of software, as you say, like
Mm,
just generally by AI. Like
mm,
it will. I think someone said this, right? AI will eat software. Like software is eating the world. AI will eat software. Someone
yeah.
smart probably said that. I don't think I made it up.
And um, there might be threshold effect. as an example, the AI frameworks that are really hyped up now, like Microsoft AutoGen and this Crew AI framework,
What are
they are
those? Sorry, I don't know them.
no, so they are frameworks where you can sort of very easily write separate prompts for agents that then collaborate in some kind of sandbox. And the reason why it sort of works is that you get the chain of prompts for free, and you can it's very easy to break down a problem into steps, or rather roles. Okay, we're gonna write a software specification. We need an engineer and a designer and a user UX expert and so on. So we assign those roles and we prompt them separately, and it's just it's an easy way for the human user to break down a problem, and it's a good way for the AI to actually work step by step, be like handheld into working step by step.
Hmm.
And the reason why and the reason why they are so hyped on YouTube and social media is that it looks really cool as well when AIs are chatting and almost like autonomously collaborating to achieve an end result. And but the reason why we none of the tools that we use are agent driven is that all the demo videos on YouTube are actually cherry picked, because
Yeah.
there are like the failure states are abundant, and it's there's when you have several agents working together in many steps, there's a compounding of errors. As soon as one LLM gets a slight hallucination or error into the workflow, then that will just compound and be like the error will accumulate and be bigger and bigger and bigger, and the rest of the sort of conversation between the AIs will be built on top of that error that was made, and they will not recognize that it was an error. And so that's one reason why agent frameworks are still a research topic rather than actually being deployed into production a lot. There's also this famous example of Devin, who was supposed to be the first truly reliable software engineer, and it turns out that the demo videos were built only on cherry picked examples, and even the example they cherry picked, where they apparently solved the computer vision problem for someone on Upwork. So they had the AI work as an Upwork freelancer. Like that person that in the demo video got their problem solved came forwards like a couple of weeks ago and said, I actually didn't get the solution to it. So they even like faked the cherry picked
That's just
version.
lazy. They could have
Yeah,
ordered it
super lazy.
themselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
the
just bad demo faking.
yeah. So and in the meantime, Devin has inspired like 5 different open source versions that's called Open Devin
Yeah.
and Deplin and other like other open source projects and startups riding the hype of that Devin achieved momentarily. It's almost like the really bad bit because it was so good video, the demo video by Google last year, where they launched was it Gemini
Yeah.
1.0
Yeah.
or something, with a video that was just too good. It
The
was
one with the person, right? Of the
yeah,
different.
it was
Yeah.
faked
Amazing.
by some marketing agency, like that was that was just supposing this is how AI should work, and they made a too good video. And it can be it becomes sort of, it's fake, but it also, you can see it as science fiction and inspiration for something that is to come in the near future. So maybe
Yeah, and
that's
that's the interesting thing. Those are the things that probably like are likely to happen. It's like
yeah.
the figure AI thing where it, we talked about where it drops the apple, right?
Mm,
Which probably is pre-programmed and fake. But it's likely that a lot of those things, assuming intelligence goes up or
mm,
competence,
mm,
um, then a lot of those things will actually be just like that. And then like I'm thinking, what's the need for an agent framework? in that sense,
Mm.
because then the models themselves are agentic if they can,
Yeah.
because you can just like decide how to communicate with them, and they can, do much more complex steps to accomplish what you want. And I think it's like, for me, like if I just look at multiply, so what is the main value, I would say, on a high level, on this level of thinking, like for our clients, is to be able to set up a process and a workspace with shared data where the team and AI can work together, right?
Mm.
And the reason why it's so important where that to have the data there and to have the process there, which is basically setting up templates and linking them together in workflows, as um, is that then the AI can be very clear what do you want the AI to do,
Mm.
because you need to hold the AI by hand to get the current level of competence to be able to perform well and actually get the results you want to, whether it's in the research and planning stage or strategy, or even like coming up with creative angles, or you go all the way to like writing, creating content of different sorts, whether that's like a statement of work, like administratively, or that's a press release, or
Mm.
etc. in the right brand voice, because you need a lot of instructions right now and a lot of relevant data, what good looks like and how to get to good,
Mm.
instructing basically the AI model. We like to say like a coworker, like a
Mm.
new coworker, like a new junior coworker. And that's a very smart, but still, doesn't know everything. Um, because otherwise the new coworker is so smart, he's going to make up stuff,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
he's going to just be like doing something that sounds good, which is
Mm.
actually what ChatGPT does.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like if you just ask it something, it's going to make it sound good. It's going to
Yeah.
be like a college essay or like a high school essay that
Mm.
uses a lot of impressive words and
Mm.
smart reasonings without really thinking through or validating that it's actually valuable.
Yeah.
um, so if I just like take that frame and we look forward and we have much, much smarter models,
Mm.
and get talking about what we just said. Before I answer, like, what do you think? Like, how does that change our value prop? In terms
Yeah.
of like, we're just going to move with the technology, right? Implementing the latest models, da 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 da, right?
Yeah. So I think since having specified workflows and processes allows both humans and AI to improve upon them, I think a stronger, more intelligent model um, moves the needle a lot more. With like it will increase the value of multiply, of course, but also multiply will increase the value of a stronger model more. Like it's like you since you put a structured process on top of the intelligence, it means that the value of the intelligence will be sort of exponentially increased. So the smarter the model is, the more value uh, um, an improvable structured process is going to add to the mix.
Yeah, I mean that's one way of looking at it. I mean, for me, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, if you look at like anything that's a process, that means you're going to do it more than once, right? And
Mm.
whether that's an AI or a person doing it, then you are sometimes going to get to really good result
Yeah.
that you're happy with. And then the question is, okay, how can we do this again,
Mm.
right? And that's what process is. It's getting to it's like a desired outcome, right? Step
Mm.
by step. I mean, it doesn't need to be step by step, but having a way to get to that. And I guess that will still need to be like, no matter how smart these models are, if you want to get to a specific result, that's just how reality works. You need
Mm.
to, or you don't need to, but there are a limited number of ways, so to say, to get to that result, or there are at
Mm.
least more or less optimal ways. No matter how smart. So maybe process will still be, valuable even when the models get quicker. Because I was initially thinking like, if we remove the need for prompt engineering, but that just means it's simpler to get a process to work with AI,
Mm.
really. So yeah, it removes the amount of prompt engineering you have to do in whether it's ChatGPT or Multiply, but it doesn't remove the need for process or for shared data or for a shared interface. That's where I'm always getting to. Like,
Mm.
how does you like how like people will, and even Sam Altman said this now. He's like, I don't really think AI will replace that many jobs. Like, will replace, like, it will really like be complementing and helping people do more, which is nice of him getting on our brand story bandwagon. Um, but I really like, I still come there, but yeah, process is a good point. But interface is also like, that's really like still where I'm like, what are the interfaces going to be like with
Mm.
really smart models? Like,
Yeah, because and that's where the bet in Multiply's UI also pays off, with collaboration being key. It's not like the smarter the model gets, the more value the organization can extract from the work that the model does. So collaborative interfaces where, as you said, humans and AI can work together, and also where um, um, where the result of the collaboration goes into the next step and the next step and so on, so that there's no overhead on, like, turning an output from one process into input into another process.
yeah, exactly. And all the data that's already there or that's being created is sort of equally accessible by people and AI, or not equally necessarily, but is accessible to the degree you want to by both like human and AI actors. I think that's like, and those interfaces going to be the key. I think
Yeah.
like where that's like really, really easy, because even when you have this AI PhD kind of, researcher, if you're a research lab or you're a startup, then it's still going to be like you working with that to try to get what you want. And then the question is, how do you do that and what is the interface for it?
Mm.
Which I still don't think will, I mean, chat will obviously be one thing, but, I, yeah, I still feel like that it's going to be interesting to see what will be the dominant one. We're obviously making a
Yeah.
play for it, but like my sense is still that it's not going to be chat, but could be wrong.
Mm. And then the knowledge graph underlying Multiply's interface is also going to be very valuable for a really smart LLM to be able to structure knowledge well and in a very dynamic way, where the LLM is not limited by a specific database layout or something like that, or
Yeah.
database model, but you can actually build a dynamic graph infinitely.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I mean, just the ability to like extremely cheaply and quickly store structured data in any format and link it. Like,
Mm.
just that thing, from both then a people and AI to be able to do that, and for the organizational data to be then accessible and have semantic meaning for model.
Mm.
It's, there's definitely like a core bet there we've made that hopefully should stay, that reasonably should stay relevant where when the models get smarter. Yeah, they're good. I feel better now, because when I listened to that yesterday, I was like, are we gonna like are we just a prompt engineering framework? And then I'm like, no, okay, I'm happy with this.
Yeah. No, I think that, like, just the multiplayer aspect of Multiply is a very, very strong bet, and very few products do that, because just making a single player product is means faster time to market, and making that investment upfront means that Multiply is building just something that is a lot more future proof.
I hope that. Yeah,
Yes.
cool. This has been fun. It was good to chat through it.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on that? Do you want to round off?
Just to sum up what we've been talking about, we started out thinking about, in a very broad sense, what happens when models get smarter, and then we ended up doing an analysis of just Multiply's positioning and bets in that scenario, and what I feel is relevant here is what we also started out with, which is that AI will eat software, and like we need to have very strong first principle thinking, rather than just building some like the coolest technology or the coolest demo, and I think that's always going to be a good bet.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. This has been fun, Martin.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rasmus, and thank you to the listener. And see you next time. If you have an idea of a guest or a topic we should talk about, and then shoot an email to Martin or Rasmus at multiply.co. Thank you.